What's up guys? Welcome back. My name is Vishwagatu and this is VG Studios. Today on this channel we're gonna have yet another amazing PC build, and it'll be with the highest end parts I've ever used in a PC build video in this channel, and it's gonna be custom water cooled guys. So I'll be making two videos on this. One would be the time lapse of the build without any talking or any interruptions, so it'll be a plain PC build with the time lapse, with the montage, with everything. That'll make it look fantastic. And the second video will be this, with the complete PC build tutorial. So think of this as your perfect guide on how to build a custom water-cooled gaming PC. And in this case, with an RTX 3090 and a Ryzen 9 5950X, guys, this is gonna be amazing. So let's get started. So firstly, the special mention of this build would be the CPU, which is undoubtedly one of the most important parts of the PC build. And in this case, we're going with the Ryzen 9 5950X. It is absolutely one of the fastest gaming CPUs on the planet right now, and this beast has got 16 cores and 32 threads, and it can speed through any kind of tasks, it can keep you going in games, and it can absolutely beast over multi-threaded tasks. So this is my recommendation for the perfect CPU. It is a bit on the expensive side, the price that I'll put here. So this is a pretty expensive CPU guys, but it is totally worth it. And if you compare it with the perfect PC parts for it, it can run almost anything, and it is the best CPU for that. And the targeted workload over here would be mainly games, crypto trading, and would definitely be multiple 4K displays. So for all of that, as much as the CPU, the GPU is important too, but this one is definitely gonna work for all of those tasks, and its full potential will still be untouched. So that's the CPU for you guys, the Ryzen 9 5950X. And for the motherboard, we shall be going with the ROG Crosshair 8 Dark Hero. Well, there's also a Hero version of this motherboard, but that wasn't the color that I was looking for. I was looking for a perfect dark theme, and this goes the best with it. And this is one of the best AMD motherboards out there. It's one of the best X570 motherboards, and it supports the RAM speeds that I'm looking for. It's perfect for overclocking and PCIe Gen 4, 2.5 gigabit LAN, and one of the best things about this motherboard is that it doesn't come with a chipset fan, so when it's idle there's absolutely zero noise, and it's one of the most silent motherboards. So this is my perfect choice for a motherboard. So firstly, while installing the CPU into the motherboard, we should make sure to hold it like this, because the back of the CPU has pins that are really sensitive, and even touching one of them would probably bend or break it, and this would stop the CPU from working. So to install the CPU, the first thing you should see is the little yellow arrow over here, and the exact same arrow over here. So simply just place it on top. You can check to see if the pins have entered, and close it. For RAM, I went with the Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro, and this one is two kits of 32 GB at 3600 MHz. That makes it a total of 64 GB at 3200 MHz. That will be a bit unstable to overclock to, but this motherboard will be perfect with that. And this goes perfectly with my theme of the iQOO software, and as long as it works perfectly with the build, that would be great. And 64 gigs of RAM would give an advantage in almost any front. You could do video editing, you could open multiple Chrome tabs and have games open at the same time, and you'd hardly use part of this RAM, so this would be perfect. For installing the RAM, you should firstly open the RAM slot, and then you make sure that this aligns with this. There's basically no way it will enter in the wrong way because one side is longer than the other. So because I want this PC to be water cooled, and I want to stick to the theme of Corsair throughout the build and use IQ for the RGB lighting in the build, I decided to go with the Corsair Hydro X Series 305i, which is the best custom water cooling kit from Corsair itself. And this comes with almost all the accessories that you need for custom water cooling, except the heat gun, which you can buy from maybe Home Depot or something for like 30-40 bucks. But this is one of the best kits from Corsair, and I am gonna be using this kit to custom water cool the CPU in my PC. For the SSDs in this build, I'll be going with two SSDs. One would be the boot drive and the other would be the main drive and kind of the cache drive for the HDD. But mainly the boot drive, I'll be going with the fastest SSD that's available on the market now. It's the Samsung 980 Pro, and it's a 1 TB SSD, and the other one would be a WD Blue, which is kind of on the budget end, but since the boot drive is fast enough already, this should make up for it. And this one is the WD Blue 2 TB NVMe SSD. So coming to the case now, I went with the Corsair iQ 5000X RGB. This case is basically one of the best from Corsair's iQ lineup right now, and the best part that I like about this case is that it has glass on all four sides, on both side panels, the top and the front, but the airflow is amazing in this case just because they spaced it in such a way that you can position 10 fans in this PC with up to 3 360mm radiators, and it'll be perfect for airflow, especially because I'll be doing custom water cooling. This case will be amazing. And the best part about this case is that it comes with an inbuilt Commando Pro for controlling the RGB of Corsair iQ parts, so that'll be even a bonus to me. And another thing about the case is that it holds up with the whole theme of the Corsair iQ that I'm going with right now, and the black obsidian kind of color would be perfect with the PC build. For the power supply, I'm going with the EVGA 1000 T2, which is 1000 watts and 80 plus titanium certified. This is the best 1000 watt power supply you can find. I know for a Ryzen 9 5950X and an RTX 3080, 1000 watts is kind of overkill, except if I plan to overclock in the future, or maybe I plan to add more things into the PC. It might get a bit overloaded, so 1000 watts is just to be on the safe side. And the main thing that you guys should always do is when you buy a power supply and you open it, you should make sure that you test it and see if it's working properly. And as I said, that I'll be testing my PC outside, so once I keep it inside the case and everything starts working, if there's any problem, just in case, I know that it's not the power supply. And today I'll be installing the GPU. And as you can see, if you're watching this video, I'm almost 90% sure that you already know what this is. This is the GeForce RTX 3090. This card is basically the best graphics card for gaming that you can find right now. It's the best offering from Nvidia, and in my opinion it's better than the 6900 XT from AMD. Also, the RTX 3090 comes with 24 GB of video RAM, and paired with the Ryzen 9 5950X, this combo would be amazing. I would personally recommend this if you had the budget for it, so you can go full on with this card and it will run it like a beast. After installing the fans, I decided to change the arrangement of them to increase the intake and reduce the exhaust to make it an overall positive pressure. is I will be using only a CPU water cooling, not GPU. This is actually a very simple loop, and all I'll be needing is 1, 2 and 3 tubes. For the color of the coolant, I decided to go with concentrated purple from Thermal Take. And while leak testing, always remember to use paper towels around the PC to make sure that if there's any leakage by mistake, you can always spot it. And finally, to get rid of any bubbles in the tubes that are left, you can simply tip it over and place it back down to get rid of the bubbles.